Hello and welcome to today's video. We're going to cover, as you can tell by the title, the most disappointing teams of 2025. And this is a weird, opinionated video in a way, but also kind of based on some um, numbers, if you will, just rough numbers. So here I have, what, 7 teams? 6 teams? No, 7. 7 teams listed that appeared in the original top 25 video, whether they were in my top 25 power rankings or the top or were voted by the Discord prior to any games being played. So this is January 10th of this season. And on the here we have like DNF. I had ranked 21st in the world. DRX 22nd. LNG 25th. And then the Discord had given votes to RNG, which were 26th in their rankings. OMG 33rd. Iserus, then Iserus Astral at the time, 35th, and SK Gaming, 36th in the world. And hell, all these teams are out of it, right? They're no longer eligible for worlds to varying degrees. And it's just kind of a thought of like, well, which one was the most disappointing? Because 3 of them were in the top 25, and we could say, well, LCK teams, I probably had 6 or 7 LCK teams in there, maybe 10 LPL teams in my top 25. Let's just say roughly, before I then change to the format I use now. But at the same time, it's like DNF were in that conversation for 5th. So were DRX. Nongshim ended up taking that. Actually 4th, 5th. Hell, KT didn't look that great. D+. There were questions. I think they were 4th going into the season, maybe outright. And it became a situation where, well, who's going to show up? KT, Nongshim, DNF, DRX, BFX, Bro. We didn't know who it was going to be. And in the end, it ended up being Nongshim who got the job done and finished 5th place, surprised everybody, and then absolutely shit the bed the last, month and a half or so, and then beat Bro today 3-2. So I guess they were a top 5 team still. It's just DNF, they never even changed their roster, really. Pyongyang played a couple games, but really it stayed Dudu, Pioshik, Bulldog, Berserker, and Life. Like, Quantum played barely. But really it was those 5. And you have to consider just like those players, that was a team, that was a team, the season's over. That was a team that had... It was a team that individually were better than the sum of its parts. Like, those players I think are okay, but then again, really, Pioshik's the only one to have some serious success in the LCK. Life has had okay moments. He's been to international events, but the other 3, Berserker played well in the LCS, but in LCK he kind of was whatever, and the solo laners leave a lot to be desired, and Bulldog needs to step it up at this point in his career. He needs to start showing improvement. But then you look at a team like DRX, rich. Kind of questionable going into the season. Sponge, we were going to see how he did. But UCal was supposed to come back to the LCK and be middle of the table at worst, and he lost his job. And that obviously was a big disappointment. Kiahu's been playing in summer, and the team absolutely sucks. Teddy and Ando playing. Lazyfield playing quite a bit early on in the season, a Vietnamese import. So the expectations there were not very high. If I had to say DNF or DRX, I had them next to each other, but DNF probably a little farther ahead. LNG's got to be the most disappointing team just because they went to Worlds in 2024, went to quarterfinals. They made some roster changes, but still, the expectations were definitely not for them to be dog shit, and they were terrible. Zika, what a disappointment this year. They did swap out junglers. Wei was out very early on, and they went with a many different junglers. Zhao Feng finally being the final one they did, and honestly, Zhao Feng should probably played right away. Hai Chao, after a great split with Meteor on LGD, couldn't repeat that. Bot lane duo, Photic Zhuo, were absolutely terrible, and they go with so many different options, and then finally land on an Academy bot lane duo. I mean, that has got to be the biggest disappointment, only because they were a Worlds team last year and they weren't even competitive this year with a player that you could argue is top 10 in their position in Zika in the world. So there is that. RNG, OMG, pretty limited expectations. So Milky Way, of course, an elite player in his rookie season, but RNG aren't paying their players, so they suck. OMG, I mean, we saw their roster was not super promising. Starry was a fun 80 carry to consider, alongside, I think PP God was still on the team at the time. Or no, it was Moham. It was Moham. And that bot lane duo looked good at times, but they just, I don't know, it can't be as disappointing as LNG, I guess. Iserus, I mean, is it the players' fault? Really, they swapped out everybody but Jose, and, well, no, I guess they only swapped out solo laners, right? Because Jose, Snaker, and Ackerman are still there. But they did swap out their name, hell, and that kind of matters, right? You went from Iserus Astral to Iserus because Astral left. Astral had a lot of the money behind them. You know, they bring in Summit on that team, and he was no good. He was clearly somebody that hadn't been playing for a while. He joins Astral separately in Latin America North with Ghost, a world champion 80 carry. Cody is solid relative to Latin American mids, and relative to NACL mids, he's probably going to be pretty good. And then you look at even support with Winsome. Winsome is not a bum relative to who he's going to be playing. So Astral takes the money, builds a team that you could argue maybe even better than Iserus, because, I mean, hell, Zoan was not very good. The mid laner, Leza, I mean, I don't know where the hell, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what they're thinking, and maybe money being pulled out of the equation kind of just screwed that team. So is it disappointing? I guess so. Like that team I thought that team could have won LTA South originally, and they just didn't do it. They just did not do it. They were not competitive. They never really got it together. And similar to LNG and the others, they struggled. Now, they end up with a 47% win rate and getting an opportunity in the playoffs. The only team, actually, to take a game off of North America in winter playoffs. It's just a matter of not getting the job done at all. At all. So the range then becomes a situation where, well, LNG made Worlds last year, made quarters. Were they top 4 team going into this season? No. So it's like, can you blame this year's iteration for last year's success? I don't know. But Iserus was a team that was supposed to do much better than they did. And then SK Gaming, somehow they got a vote. I don't know how they did with that roster. I don't know how they did. Rahel, I guess it was like, oh, the Rahel experience. Somebody must have liked Reeker. I don't know. But that team had no business getting a vote in at all. Somehow it did. Clearly the worst team in LEC. So I wasn't very disappointed. That team didn't look very good on paper either. So it becomes a situation where it's got to be LNG or Iserus, varying degrees. I mean, DNF in the LCK, possibly, you'd expect them to be better than they were. I mean, they were very bad. So, I mean, it's an interesting thought experiment. I wasn't going to put teams on here that are still in contention in playoffs. Their seasons are not over. They can still redeem themselves. And honestly, I mean, in some way, shape, or form, it is truly who is better on the day, and that could define a whole season in somebody's narrative and in somebody's mind. And I think that that's very short-sighted, but that is what it is. Whereas when we look at the entirety of the season, we look at these win rates here, all pretty low, except Iserus, 47%. I mean, they didn't play that bad. DRX, 40%, but like DNF, 24% win rate is awful. It is awful. So comment down below with which of these teams you think were the most disappointing this season. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.